discovered.
Oh,
honest.
Yeah.
beekeeper. Okay, keep coming.
Now the
Yeah,
few
we
that
got
are
a long way
flying
to
around
go.
over there, will they find these people?
Those,
Yeah.
they might have a hard time, but they'll probably collect on a branch, and you could bring those over in the morning.
I don't see any queens sticking her head out though. I've looked for queens. I'm not very good at looking for queens. I'm pretty excited when I see queen on my
Let
frame
you
though.
guys film.
Gypsy. Now,
Did you come?
although they're quite docile.
Can I get in the video?
Now, when you
No.
say shake,
So I'll have you get like right here,
Yeah.
because I want some of them to kind of just hit here, but I don't want them on top.
Okay.
So it's better if they scatter there, but some just so they land here. So you get here and you just go, boom. And almost all of them will fall there. There'll still be some on the branch. We'll just set the branch over here.
So you're talking about a pretty sharp.
A good sharp, yeah.
Woo! That's cool.
Not again.
No, just set the branch over here for now. And if you guys want to see this, how quickly they'll figure it out and start marching in. First they're gonna they gotta figure it out, but typically in 10 minutes they're inside. And so we'll see if we can, just by chance, see the queen. And I'll have my little...
I thought the drones didn't go with.
Some drones will go. Most drones are too lazy, but...
Drones make those noise.
So,
Oh, they're
so
the
if,
boys.
So if this isn't cool, I don't know what's not cool. Look at this.
Sarah said the swarm and the noise and the condensation of the swarm was pretty cool.
That is cool. A tornado, but I mean, to watch this march in fascinates me every time I see it.
Saw all these bees when I went to pick raspberries and I'm like, what is happening? So I
Very
told my mom
cool.
and she's like,
If you can
That's a
behave, you
sight
can
that
never
not
be
many
lost.
people ever get to see. Some beekeepers never get to see it.
Mom, there's a bee on
That's all right. It can hang out for a while. It'll eventually figure out that it wants to go live with the other bees and
all
not be my
this-
friend forever.
You're familiar with that business going on?
Yeah.
With the Nasanov gland.
Right.
So for Marcus, you see how all these bees right here have their abdomen up in the air?
yeah.
And you see how there's that little white spot right towards the end of the by the tip? That's a little gland that they have that emits a pheromone, a chemical signal that they send out to the other bees that just says, come here everybody. This is where our home is. So they were all disrupted, they were all on that nice branch, everybody felt good, although they're walking over here from the branch. And so they need to tell all their friends that, hey, this is home now, or this is where we are. Everybody that's flying in the air, come down here. So they emit that chemical from that little gland there, and then they're fanning their wings real fast. So that distributes that chemical out into the air. That's pretty cool. So that's how they talk. That's how bees talk, is through this
You can
little
back up if
chemical.
you get nervous.
Right, and then the stinger's right at the end there. So, but they're too anxious to find a home to worry about stinging us right now. I mean, they could sting us, but least likely when they're swarming, because they don't have a home to protect and they don't have any honey to protect. So they're kind of like, forget it. So this is kind of neat, where you have this little stream that they're attracted to that.
Why don't,
And
for,
is
like,
there-
quickness, why don't they just like fly up and land on the bush?
That is kind of weird that bees prefer to walk as opposed to flying.
And you still think that in general the queen was more likely to be in the center of that mass, not still on the branch?
She could still be on the branch right now, and in a couple seconds, once they're getting more established to being inside,
What's that
I'll
little
have
group?
you shake that off again.
What's the little group congregating right there in the middle in front?
Yeah. Oh, where? Oh yeah, they just haven't figured it out yet. Because all these bees are doing that Nasanov thing too. So these bees are coming here and say, okay, well, what's the big deal?
Okay.
But we could kind of disrupt them a little bit and have them walk in. Everybody this way.
And
Mom, do you think these will
why
become
not
sour?
a frame of honey for them at this point in time?
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to have it for stores, but they've all eaten a bunch of honey before they left.
Okay.
So they're not so attracted to honey as they are the right dimensions for a home. So, and this is about as small a box as I like to put a swarm in for a medium. An 8 frame you could maybe fit
So
a
why
swarm
the
this size.
bees leave the other small ones?
They're just kind
They
of
just
how they
grow on it?
reproduce. You mean the other hive?
Yeah.
This is just kind of how they reproduce. They get to have a really big colony, and then they say, well, we're filling up this space, so let's have half of you go out and find a new home. It's kind of like when you grow up and you turn 18 and then they're going to kick you out of the house. That's how it works.
The
You
girls
didn't know that, did you?
think just from the concentration of where they were flying that they came from the box at the other end that doesn't have the super on it, or the
This
honey
is cool.
supers on
And
it.
was that a package?
Um,
Wasn't a-
yeah, it was a package, and it's in 2 10-frame.
So initially, the huge cloud of bees
Could be,
started there
especially
and went over to
packages
that
are
tree.
unusual to swarm by this time of year. It could be, but it can happen, especially if it's been in too deep. I mean, you can know by looking in there.
Well,
and
they
look for
started in
queen
1
cells.
deep, and actually I started all of my new packages in 1 medium, 1 medium, and 1 deep.
You see this guy? Oh, sorry about that. She just landed on my finger, but she wasn't that interested.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
you know,
questions or not?
until you go into the hives, and even looking in a hive, it can be hard to tell.
Yeah, we were talking about that when I was trying to look at
Can
them.
we-
Oh, my
Can you
But
ask questions
my
or
bent would be that
Gotta
it's
wait your turn.
probably the.
What's your question?
I want to ask
You know,
where's
the
the queen
overwintered is
bee?
the most likely.
Well, they're looking for
culprit.
her, but they
it's
don't
not-
know
not
for sure where
unheard
she
of
is.
that a colony that got a little,
So,
crowded in one box
So
started
does-
the swarm influence.
so does the queen have like different, like a color pattern? Or no?
No, she looks very similar. It's really hard to, unless we could show you a queen.
But once you see one, she's very
Yeah,
different.
very different.
She's longer. The abdomen or the butt end of it is shaped. It's proportioned different. It's longer, but it's not the same shape. I didn't describe that well, did I? Though.
One way is when you look at these with these bees, it's hard to tell because all these are fanning their wings. But when they don't fan their wings almost reach the end of their butt.
Oh.
So with a queen, the butt goes out much further. Well, not much, but it goes out further. So you can kind of tell that proportion of wings to body
Okay, that
a little bit.
would be easier.
So can I have you
And-
then grab that branch?
See this bee,
Yeah.
Marcus?
Yeah.
This big fat one?
That's a
So
male.
that's a male.
Ooh.
So we could grab him if we wanted.
But he could fit through the bees are stuck under the thing.
This guy, he can't sting because he doesn't have a stinger. So
Oh.
Why don't they
I
have
don't know
stingers?
how we got these under here that are stuck.
He likes you.
So
Come on, get out of it. See, now I made it worse, I think. I shouldn't have done that.
Marcus, you got a buddy. Oh, now you don't.
Just got one here.
Don't have Marcus do this. Marcus, why don't you slowly, just very carefully lift up that branch and hold it on the other side too. And maybe we'll look for the queen for a minute on here while you're holding it. Just in case she happens to get on the roof. She could be. So if you see one that looks a little different, you tell us and we'll see if... Why don't you kind of rotate that branch over so we can see the bottom side of the branch. A little bit of the problem if she's a virgin, so she hasn't mated with a male yet, then they're not as big as the regular queens that once they've had it mated and started to lay
Hey,
eggs.
Marcus.
This is scientific observation. This is the funnest part here, just kind of watching the bees.
There's a notebook, Brian.
It's right by my bed.
Right where the bees are.
Let's see here. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you do what Brian did. Flip that over a little bit so because I don't know what's going on with that. And without
Kendra, you
hitting
back
the
up a little
ground,
bit.
just give them kind of a sharp. Yeah. One more time. Same thing. One more time.
Holy moly macaroni.
Set that back down where it was, just gentle. And go watch another mark for bees.
There you go, Mark. One by one.
The little bee stops and ties you.
Can the female sting you more than once or just one time on a bee?
Usually for mammals, when they sting a mammal like us, the stinger gets stuck in their skin and then it pulls it out and they die.
Look how many there are on this.
Now, is this a stinger that this bee is dragging behind its butt? Here?
It might be, yes. So it probably got stuck in the cloth here.
So he's about to die.
Yeah,
Can I
she's
ask a
gonna die,
question,
so-
Mom? Can I ask a question?
Grab his way somewhere else.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Ask Grandpa who's
Actually, since her stinger's gone, I probably could, but my
Mom.
preference isn't to pick up worker bees
Can I
or
ask?
girls because they could sting me, but she probably can't anymore because that does look
Papa.
like her stinging.
Yeah.
Where's the queen bee?
Well, we're hoping that the queen marched in with the first group of people. Because
Just the fact that they all went inside, I mean, it's not a perfect answer, but that they all went inside and have gone inside so quickly gives
Look at
me
Marcus.
some indication that she's in there. Sometimes when you capture a swarm and do this, they'll just kind of coat the outside and some of them will go in, but a lot will just be out here. That's often an indication that either you didn't get the queen and she's still over there, or they're going to take off the next day.
And if she hasn't mated, we won't see eggs for
Week.
Okay.
So if she's mature enough to fly, that means she's mature enough to go out in the next couple of days for mating flights, and then after she's mated, then a couple days till she starts laying. She'll go out on 2 or 3 mating flights maybe, and
So
do you
at
mean
10
mating
days, if
Go up,
there's
find
no
another.
eggs,
10 days is a good time to check.
I'm going to introduce a frame of brood
With eggs.
with eggs and let them raise their own queen.
Or,
Or
you
buy
know,
a queen
because
at
this
this
is
point.
because this is getting pretty late, because then you'd have to wait a month for her, 16 days for her to be born, and then another week and a half for her to get out and mate and mature and mate, and then come back and
Marcus,
start
it looks
laying.
like
and-
Peter the flower.
Rick Solomon.
Because they're all by you. Is Peter's name Peter the Pan?
His name is Mr. Underwood to you now.
Oh, Peter.
One with the big fat round butt. He crawled away. I don't see him now.
I don't see what looks.